Hello and welcome to a brand new series of Sheepdog Trials, where some of Scotland's top shepherds will be competing at the end of the day for Channel 4's Grampian Sheepdog Trial Trophy. We are here in the majestic setting of Craigievar Castle, completed in 1626, and I wouldn't like to be the mason that built the stone up here. I'm Robbie Shepherd, and that's my only qualification for being presenter of the programme, but with me our expert Bill Merchant. Bill, remind me of the sections, please.
Well, there are 6 sections in all. 3 sections for senior handlers, and an innovation is that 3 ladies have come into another section, 3 young handlers and 3 novice dogs, and this should add very much to the interest of the competition.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go with our men's section. First competitor is Alan Gordon of Elgin with Glenn. Well, there's Alan now coming forward, and Glenn has got down on the right-hand side. Right away, Bill, in very early stages, would you have gone down the right-hand side?
Yes, I think possibly I would, because there's a little more room on the right-hand side than on the left. And in a short course like this, the more room you have for the dogs outrun, the better. Because if you disturb sheep on a short course, then you lose control before you come to the gates.
A nice steady pace from Glenn, and you indicate this is the same again. That was 1 point lost there though in the outrun.
No, he was just a wee bit short in balance. He was scarcely at 12 o'clock.
19 points for outrun, and they're coming towards the lift, going very steady towards it there.
Yes. There's a tremendous merit in being very careful in this lift, because if you frighten the sheep there, then you're in real trouble.
And that was at 10.
Come away quite nice.
10 out of 10 for the lift, Bill.
Yes, a good lift.
Now, being the first round, we're guiding you through. The fetch takes 20 points. 20 points for the fetch, where the sheep must come right back to their handler here with Glenn at the back.
Now, they're coming up through the gate there. They've been very little offline, and pretty good fetch. The fetch ends, of course, when the sheep are turned round the post, in this case between the handler and the post. The handler is standing on a platform, and he passes the sheep in front of him between himself and the post, which you can see.
Take it nice and steady, 2 up this way. It looks as though it's shortish in that the time is not going to be so important here, Bill.
Well, this will depend entirely on the behaviour of the sheep. These sheep have behaved extremely well. They've responded to the dog. They haven't panicked in any way.
There were 2 penalty points in that fetch, Bill. That was 18 points for the fetch. 18 for the fetch.
Yes, that's good. He's probably just a wee bit wide in his turn here. The object is to get a straight line, straight to the drive gates. He's going to get the drive gates, the drive-away gates, all right. They've just gone a wee bit fast once they're through, and will probably lose something for that. But the dog's got in front of them now, and maybe just turn them back a wee bit. They should always be going forward. And he's bringing them back onto line for the drive-away gates, which are on the right. Now, these are tremendously good sheep. They're responding to the dog, and the dog's taking every advantage of it. His pace is right, his position's right. He's not moving too fast to frighten them, and he's just getting them gently through the gates.
They have been trialling together for 4.5 years now, I think, Bill. Alan himself for 34 years, so he knows the score.
Oh yes, Alan's a very experienced handler. He's represented Scotland in the international team. Indeed, he did so last year. and now he's coming into the shedding ring, and he's got to shed off the last sheep.
On the drive there, Bill, it was 25 points, losing 5 on the drive.
Yes, that's right. He was a wee bit off course and too far through the gates, and the sheep turned back. All these points count.
Now we come to the shed. Explain to us again the shed where the back sheep, they must separate the back sheep.
The last sheep has to be, the dog has to come in and turn off the last sheep. That is with the sheep all facing one way. The idea of this is to be able to control the sheep, turn it, and thereafter control it. It's sometimes difficult. It's often difficult. Sometimes there's a bit of luck involved in it. Sometimes if a dog sheds from a distance, the last sheep can very quickly become the first sheep, in which case some people deem it not a correct shed, but this is a very debatable point.
I was a wee bit naive in saying, because the course appears to be shortest to me, that the time didn't count. This is where the time is lost or gained, isn't it?
That is absolutely right. There's an awful lot of time can be wasted or lost in the shedding ring. This was an attempt, you see, which didn't come off, and he's got to gather up and start again.
It's a maximum of 10 for the shed.
Yeah. He's also like the sheep out of the ring, and this also produces faults or loss of points because they've got to be controlled within the shedding ring. There it is. It's just not perfect, but
Come on up, come on up, come on up.
we'll see what the judge says about that.
Wait a minute, here. Lie down.
And speaking to Alan earlier on, he didn't in fact breed this dog through their own sources. He bought this one down Lanark somewhere, and he said it was a mistake in the mating, which proved very good for him.
Well, this was an unregistered dog actually, and he's been since registered on merit. In other words, one of his parents wasn't registered in the Society stud book, but I don't think that matters too much if you get a really good dog.
9 lost there, so he lost a lot in the shed. He only collected 1 point in the shedding. And that obviously there was other various attempts.
Yes, that's right, and it wasn't really a correct shed when it finally came up. This is where points are lost. He's going to get the benefit of the pen, however, and that'll be a clean pen.
And a clean pen it is
points.
indeed. Clean pen, clean pen. Well, that was Alan Gordon with Glen, and Alan took 19 for the outrun, 10 for the lift, 18 for the fetch, 25 the drive, 1 for the shed, this out of 10, and 10 out of 10 for the pen, with a grand total of 83. Bill, how did you rate that round?
Well, this was a steady, workmanlike run from start to finish, apart from the shed. He ran into trouble in the shedding ring. He had difficulty of getting the single sheep off, but eventually he got it. A clean pen, and altogether, very steady, good run.
Well, let's go to our second competitor now, and that's Malcolm MacDonald of Shawbost in the Isle of Lewis, and he has Mick with him.